College football week 14. Best bets are on the way. In this video, we go through some of the biggest games in college football this weekend. Then we dive into some maybe not as big games, but give you your favorite picks there. And then, of course, we wrap up the video with some player props that we love. As always, everything is timestamped down below. It is Austin, joined by Logan. I got to give you a round of applause, Logan. Last week, 7-1 for you. You only missed one pick. We love to see that. I continued my hot streak of 5-3. I'm on a 23-5 run. You're on a 12-3 run. So some could say we're the hottest college football gamblers in the world. But bigger than that, Logan, is that we were posting this on Thanksgiving. And last week, we went 4-0 on props. And you guys know what happens when we go undefeated on props. We do a $50 giveaway. So since it is right that we're posting this on Thanksgiving, maybe you're watching this the day after. Either way, we appreciate you for tuning in. We're giving away $50. All you got to go do down below, comment what you're thankful for. You don't have to comment on Thanksgiving. You can comment on Friday or Saturday, whenever you're watching the video. We'll pick out one random winner next week to give away $50. So do that. Simple as that. Like and subscribe too. We certainly appreciate it. But Logan, we got to dive into some games. And we're actually only focusing on Saturday games this week. There are a bunch of games on Friday. I don't think Logan and I think we might have a prop here and there in those games, but either way, most of the game picks we're talking about are in the Saturday games. And we'll start with the first one. A battle to South Carolina as the South Carolina Gamecocks go into Clemson. This is a pick 'em basically. Clemson is -130. The over-under at 49.5. Logan, what is the move in this South Carolina little game here? This should be a fun one.
Yeah, I think you and I are kind of seeing similar game flow in this one. I like the under 49.5. Look, whenever I pick a total in college football, gotta definitely see matchups of styles, right? Got Cade Klubnik second in the ACC in passing touchdowns, but we know what South Carolina's defense is good at. They're second in the SEC with 39 sacks. They are really good at getting pressure up front. Cade Klubnik, I think, will be very uncomfortable in the pocket, kind of be forced to bail out early. It's kind of what we've seen sometimes when he's not at his best. See the Georgia game, first game of the season, to know what I'm talking about. Against strong defensive lines, Clemson really struggled this year. Pitt, Louisville, Georgia, those are some of his worst games. Also, South Carolina's offensive line has issues of their own, right? 127th in tackles for loss allowed. I think Clemson themselves will be able to push the line of scrimmage as well. Clemson's defensive line, top 20 in tackles for losses. South Carolina's defense, too, just 18.8 points per game given up. Clemson, 22.8 points per game allowed. These are two of the better defensive units. I just see a lot of red zone stops in that one. And if I see a lot of red zone stops, got to hammer the under.
Yeah, I'm kind of right there with you, although I'm on a little bit of a different pick. I'm on the first half under at 24.5. I still like it at 23.5. I have lost a first half under this year because the team ended with 24 on the dot, which obviously is as painful as it gets. If you get 24.5, obviously take that there. Similar points to what Logan said. I really think this is a lower scoring game. I just have no good luck on full game unders. I feel like the first half, there's like 15 points. Second half, there's like 50. I'm like, why? Why did I do this? So, look, I hope this first half soars under and gives you a lot of wiggle room in that second half. But for all the reasons you said, I think this is a lower scoring game. I like both these defenses here. I know we've seen the offenses spark and have big games. I don't know if that comes here. There's going to be some jitters here, too, given how big of a game this is for both these two teams. 12 p.m. start. I'll take the first half under at 24.5. Forgot to note, Logan, wearing the same polo as the last few weeks because I've been scorching out. So I'm not switching up my wardrobe for anyone. Let's move to the next game, though. This is a fun game. Notre Dame on the road taking on USC. Right now, you get Notre Dame a little bit over a touchdown favorites. The over-under at 51.5. This is an interesting one because obviously a lot of people want Notre Dame's head on a platter, it feels like, because they're like, this team doesn't deserve to make the playoff. They lost to Northern Illinois. They're not in a conference, blah, blah, blah. I mean, they've been able to shut up critics, but people are arguing, who have they played? They really haven't had a tough competition. I haven't decided on really exactly what I want to go with here, Logan, so I'll give you the floor and talk about what your favorite pick is in this game.
Yeah, so let me try to sway you over to the side of the Trojans because I like USC plus the 7.5 they're getting. Now, you're going to see a top-ranked Notre Dame team, a team that's really come on ever since that Northern Illinois loss. But I could definitely see USC playing spoiler, and that's what this weekend is about. It's about rivalry matchups. It's about teams that want to spoil other teams' season. This is a perfect opportunity for USC to absolutely spoil Notre Dame's season. Riley Leonard, the question we have to ask when backing Notre Dame is, do we think he's that guy? Do we think he's just the take this game over and just ball out, unbelievably? I don't really think so. I think this USC defense is a lot better than people give it credit for. I think definitely the offense for USC can go blow for Notre Dame. Look at also, I want to talk about USC's defense. 32nd in points allowed, 43rd in rushing yards allowed. That's towards the upper, tier of defensive metrics as well. Obviously, Notre Dame, quote, needs this game more, but USC's going to be hungry. I just think they're going to be a pain in their butt, and I think USC covers this one.
I like the pick. I was going between either taking USC or what I think I'm going to do, and that's going to be Notre Dame's team total under 31.5. Obviously, kind of goes hand in hand with your pick, Logan. With back in the Trojans, you're going to need probably a lower scoring game to get it done. Notre Dame has been scorching out on offense, but I don't really feel like they've played a lot of elite teams. They also really haven't played a true road game. They've played some neutral sites against some of these, military programs, but not really any true road games. Now you're at USC. Maybe the offense starts to flutter a little bit. Maybe it's a little bit not as efficient in the red zone. So I'll take their team total under. I think they've been putting up a ton of points recently. Maybe this is a game where the offense kind of comes back down to earth. They lean on that defense, with Notre Dame's defense one of the best units in college football. So I think the defense is leaned on here. I don't know if they cover that 7.5. I'm not getting involved with the spread here. I like Notre Dame's team total under at 31.5. Our next game, Logan, go to a little bit of a battle of Texas, if you will, as the Texas Longhorns are on the road in College Station to take on A&M. Teams haven't played in a hot minute, but Texas is laying 5.5 points. Over under at 48.5. All the reports indicate that Quinn Ewers should be starting under center for the Longhorns. We anticipate him. He's been practicing this week. If not, obviously it'll be Archie Manning. So either way, Logan, I could go either way on this game. I am going to take Texas though. I'm going to take the minus 5.5. I've bet against Texas A&M many a times this season. Marcel Reed has looked pretty good. But man, they were messing around with Auburn last week, and Auburn's just a bad program. I think the Longhorns need to make a statement here. They need to come out here, put their foot back on the pedal, and absolutely destroy A&M. I think they have the defense to do it, and I think the offense has kind of been hit or miss the last few weeks for Texas. I'm going to take a minus 5.5. Not going to overcomplicate it, try to get cute with Texas A&M. Say, oh, that's too many points for an underdog at home. No, I'm not getting cute there. Give me Texas, the Longhorns. Give me a minus 5.5. But Logan, what do you like here?
We're both on the horns. What could go wrong there, right? Yeah, hook 'em. I like Texas for a lot of the reasons you did talk about. Number one, if you struggle to really play against Auburn like they did last week, you don't look that great in my eyes because I think very low of Auburn. Also, injury concerns for Texas A&M. We got to talk about it. Will Lee, Jaden Hill both went out with injuries against Auburn. Are they 100%? Do they play in this game? Not really sure at the time we're recording this, but again, those could be kind of factored into this game, especially a very explosive passing attack for Texas. We got to assume Quinn Ewers does play in this game because I just think this being such a big game with this magnitude, he's going to be out there. Marcel Reed, we've seen brilliance from him, but we've also seen him play like a young quarterback. This Texas defense is elite. And Texas A&M's defense, not elite. 11th in the SEC overall, 12th against the pass, which that matches up terribly against the Texas team that's 12th in the nation in passing yards per game. I just really do like the Horns as well. I think they get it done, even with the 12th man on their side with Texas A&M. I still think it's Horns.
Hey, they gotta go in there and establish a big win there. So obviously make a big difference come the playoffs. And then the final game we'll talk about before we get into some individual picks and some player props. Auburn on the road in Alabama. Alabama, not a great season for them, but obviously they're still trying to figure out how to get into the playoff, and obviously it starts with a big dominant victory over Auburn. Alabama minus 11.5, over under 52.5. I went back and forth on this game, Logan. I have a feeling I kind of know what you are on, but I will be taking the under at 52.5. I haven't liked what I've seen out of Alabama consistently. Auburn's offense might be terrible. They put up a lot of points last week. I'm not even sure if they score in this game. Alabama's this big time game where they need to show up. I don't necessarily know if they lean on Jalen Milroe as much. Maybe lean on the ground game a little bit. I just think in a big rivalry game like this, we see a lower scoring one where you get a lot of heart from both defenses. Offenses, I have no idea what I'm going to get from either of these two teams because I think they're pretty inconsistent on offense. So I'll take the under 52.5. I don't take a lot of full game totals. I don't really love a spread here, so my favorite pick is probably taking the under. But Logan, what do you like here?
I totally like your angle. I see your angle, and I'm going to be a little bit more niche in my bet. I'm going to take the Auburn team total under 21.5. I want to isolate it just to Auburn in case their defense does what their defense has been known to do, and that's just kind of like blow up in bad spots. Auburn's, even though their offense looked pretty solid last week, still 72nd in points per game. Alabama's defense is 10th in points per game allowed, just under 17 points per game allowed. So this is just a horrible matchup, and I really do not like Peyton Thorne as leader of this offense. You just got to call it what it is. I think this is an offense that leads. They lean a lot on Jarquez Hunter for good reason. He's an elite running back, but again, Alabama can key on that. They're going to key on the run. They're going to make Peyton Thorne beat him through the air, and I just don't think Peyton Thorne's that guy. Also, Alabama, if they're smart, what they'll try to do, especially on the road, or not on the road, but in this matchup, they'll definitely try to establish the ground game as well. I think Milroe is going to use his legs a lot more and chew clock. Again, Auburn's team total, it's sitting at 21.5. Absolutely not. I'll go ahead and bank on that.
No, I support you for fading that. Hopefully they score 0 so that it helps my under pick. But now we're going to dive into our favorite other picks of the week. So as always, Logan, we dive into a couple player props. But first, we need to dive into some other individual games. I've been pretty hot on my individual games where we're talking away from the big time games. Last few weeks, I've been picking underdogs. And last 3 weeks, I've picked a touchdown plus underdog, and they've won outright. Last week's was App State. Now, Virginia, I digress. Virginia was a bad wager. But hey, we got it back with App State. Today, I got 2 underdogs for you. One smaller one big one. We'll start with the Demon Deacons of Wake Forest. I like them plus 5.5 at minus 120. No one in their right mind is going out and backing Wake Forest. No one is. And while that may be like, Austin, you're an idiot, there's a reason no one's backing them. And I understand that. But this is a team I think has a chance here. They've lost 3 in a row. They're 4-7. They don't have a ton to play for here. But I think they wake up against Duke. Duke is not a 5.5 level program on the road. I just don't think, and I'm not convinced they are. And Hank Bachmeier, he's got at least one legacy start left in him. He's been in college since I was a baby. Now, not really. He's been in there for 6 years, though, so he's been in and seen a lot of college programs. I think he gives the Demon Deacons some life here. I don't think they get smoked at home by over a touchdown. I think it's a tough one for Duke, who's obviously coming in here 8-3. They're on their high horse. They've won 2 straight. Think this could be a slip-up spot for him at Wake Forest. I feel like this line, looking at the records, you'd think, oh, Duke should be like 8.5 point favorites, maybe even more. They're 5.5. That's awfully weird. I will take Wake Forest, the Demon Deacons, plus 5.5. I am on demon time this week. But Logan, what do you got for the people today?
Yeah, underdogs for me were kind last week. Again, it's picking double-digit underdogs to just have chances to win games outright. And I have an underdog that I love in this spot. I'm taking Syracuse plus 11.5. Matchup of these teams, there's going to be a lot of offense, or at least there should be on paper, because you got the number 1 passing yards team in Miami against the number 3 passing yards team in Syracuse. The Orange on a 2-game win streak. Kyle McCord's looking pretty decent as far as FBS pass leader in passing yards, I'd say. I think he can go blow for blow with Cam Ward in this one. Miami's defense, 258th nationally in points allowed, 49th in passing yards allowed. I think there's definitely some air yards for Kyle McCord in the Syracuse offense, at least on paper. Miami's defense also 112.8 rushing yards per game allowed. We know there's a very talented running back behind McCord and LaQuint Allen for Syracuse. I backed Syracuse earlier in the year against Virginia Tech. That one was a great win because they came from behind playing in front of that home crowd. Once again, they do that. Miami, all these games, everyone calls them a fraud because they just find ways to kind of like narrowly escape victories. They're going to have to prove it to me. They're going to have a convincing road win for me to not like this spot. Syracuse, absolutely nothing to lose here. Everything to gain. You can absolutely ruin a lot of Miami's momentum going into the end of the season if they do end up pulling the outright win. But I just think if you're getting 11.5 at home in a huge game, the crowd will definitely be into this one. I love Syracuse as my first one, but Austin, throwing it back to you.
I have a pick that you're going to love, Logan, and I think this team might win outright. And I know it's crazy to say. Give me the Florida State Seminoles plus 16.5, minus 120. It's a barf bag game. It is a barf bucket. Grab it and hope that it doesn't shoot you in the foot, man. But I like Florida State plus 16.5. I know, words I never thought would come out of my mouth. We've been backing the Gators the last few weeks as Logan is wearing his Florida polo as they go into Florida State, into Tallahassee. They're coming off big wins. We backed them against LSU. We backed them against Ole Miss. There is no one that wants to back Florida State this week, and rightfully so. The team has sucked. But I just don't trust the Gators away from the swamp. This feels like a spot where, like, Florida State's record, they're like 2-9. This team sucks. We ain't waking up for them. It's a night game in Tallahassee. The fans, what's left of them, will be amped up here. I think Lagway, he's looked really good. I think he's still a very young quarterback. They're also, Florida State's going to be starting a new guy. He started last week, looked decent. Granted, it was against the Cupcake, so take it with a grain of salt. But I think that with the Seminoles, give them some fight here. They don't need to win this game outright. It would be lit, but they aren't winning outright probably. But I think the Gators are frauds. Give me Seminoles plus 16.5. Give it to me. Logan, what you got?
I absolutely hate you. I hate that you just did that. I don't disagree, though. I do think that is way too many points for my Gators to be laying. But I do ask that if Florida absolutely throttles them by like 20-something points, you got to wear a clown nose on the next one, at least for just a hot minute, for disrespecting my team like that. But speaking of Florida, I have another Florida team that I like, and no, it's not the Gators. I'm taking South Florida minus 4.5. Yes, USF and the Bulls. Look, this Bulls team, I did not have them becoming bowl eligible on my bingo card. I mean, they've showed some heart this year. Their offense has definitely been clicking. I just think these two programs are going in the opposite directions. One's going up, one's going down, one's bowl eligible, one is in the toilet. Rice's passing defense is good, but USF is 33rd in rushing yards per game to just Rice's 90th defensive rank in rushing yards allowed. So stylistically, I think USF's able to run the ball in this one. I think they're just able to flat out win this game kind of ugly. And if they're even able to just win this game by 6+, which I think they do, I think they win this game by at least a touchdown. It's going to be a lot on their offense, just kind of establishing the ground game, but also Rice's offense, terrible. I mean, they're one of the worst units in the country. I hope that does not bite me in the butt, but they are 111th in points scored, 116th in rushing yards per game. What do they do well? Not a whole lot of anything. So you got a South Florida team coming in this one with some momentum, knowing they are bowl eligible. Could they overlook this game? Maybe slightly, but it's not like Rice is a powerhouse program. Again, some of these student athletes, quite frankly, just kind of want the season to be done. I think they're mailing it in. I think the South Florida team's going into the end of the year with some momentum. So give me the Bulls minus 4.5. I do like South Florida a lot as my second pick. But Austin, it's player prop time. What you rolling with?
It's prop time, baby. Now, Logan, to address your accusation or your thing, I will wear a clown nose in the recap next week if Florida beats them by more than 4 touchdowns. So it has to be a 28 or more point victory, and I will wear a clown nose next week. But you guys came in for some props. As always, we play the props on Underdog Fantasy. Underdog, we love them. If you sign up using our code COS, they'll match your first deposit up to $1,000 and give you a free square for the NBA or the NFL, maybe even both if you're lucky. Again, we play this on Underdog, and last week we went 4-0. Let's do it again. My 2 of the week. Peyton Thorne, the Auburn QB. I like his under 0.5 rushing and receiving touchdowns. Touch on him. Logan's obviously on Auburn's team total under. Hopefully doesn't give him 7 points to work with. But you look at Peyton Thorne, no rushing touchdown in 8 straight weeks. A team like Alabama, they obviously know Jalen Milroe. They are prepared for some QB scrambles and things like that. Peyton Thorne really not scrambling a ton. So I do like him to not score a touchdown. He can pass for 8 touchdowns for all I care. Just no rushing and receiving touchdowns. My other one is a run back play from last week. We had Dylan Raiolas under 1.5 passing touchdowns. They cashed. They put up a ton of points, but they were all rushing touchdowns. He had 1 passing. He's under this line in 7 straight games. Facing Iowa, we know how talented Iowa's defense is. One of the best defenses in the country. Took a step back from last year, but still a very good unit there. So I think both those props back. 2 unders, 2 winners. That's all that matters. And then we're going to parlay them with Logan's 2 on Underdog, which we'll talk about in just one moment. As always, sign up for Underdog using code COS or the link in the description. Match your first deposit up to $1,000. But Logan, you got 2 more prop winners. You had 2 last week. I need 2 more to wrap up this little Underdog parlay. Take it away.
Love those props, Austin. I'm rolling with Colston Loveland under a half rushing receiving touchdowns as my first one. I mean, look, if you're looking at Michigan's red zone threat, yes, this guy is definitely them. Tell me that Ohio State defense can't key on this guy. I mean, I think they shut down Colston Loveland. There's a reason why we see Michigan's quarterback have like a half a passing touchdown type line. I just don't see Michigan really being able to be offensively efficient in this game for sure against one of the best defenses in the country. That's the first one I like. And then the second one I like is Braden Locke of Wisconsin under 1.5 passing touchdowns. I mean, he's under this in 5 of his last 6. He's facing a Minnesota team that, hey, I backed the Gophers last week. They looked pretty dang good against Penn State, didn't they? They do it with defense. That's the PJ Fleck way. That's the Minnesota way. And they also have a low over-under in this game. I mean, I just don't see a whole lot of points. I think if Wisconsin's going to get in the red zone, it's going to be on the ground. I just don't see 2 passing touchdowns for Braden Locke. Those are 2 winners, Austin. Let's have ourselves a little week.
Let's get the job done and go 4-0 on Underdog. Those are favorite picks of the week. As always, we appreciate you guys. A reminder, go down below, let us know something you're thankful for, and we'll pick out one random winner next week and give away $50 for sweeping the props last week. Man, let's sweep them again this week. If we happen to sweep and go 4-0 on props, we'll pick 2 of your comments to make it easy. So, hey, let's sweep again. We appreciate you guys for tuning in. Hope you guys had a happy Thanksgiving, and we will be back for some more picks in future videos, and we'll do a very similar video for the NFL that will be posted, I believe, on Friday. So stay tuned for that. It's Austin Logan. We're signing out. See you guys in the next one. Peace.